Hey guys, today we're on the public test server for patch 7.0 to talk about the prestige perks for Tactical class and why the Tactical class is currently the best class in Space Marine 2. This guy has always been insanely strong, like busted is kind of an understatement, and right now he is pretty much only approached by Bulwark. Like you could make an argument Bulwark might be better, but I still give it to Tactical because the thing this guy does best is that he dumps out damage like nobody else. And we're going to go into his prestige perks first here. And on first glance, a lot of these are pretty bad or mediocre, but the ones that are good are pretty damn good. So we're going to start off with Acuity. Each consecutive headshot increases headshot damage by 2%, up to 10%. The bonus lasts 5 seconds without a headshot. This one's pretty much one you're always going to be taking, and this is really good with the Bolt Carbine. Bolt Carbine is currently the best weapon on Tactical. I know a lot of people think it is Plasma. Plasma is still like second best. This weapon's very good, though Bolt Carbine can just get out of certain situations that the Plasma can't, because charging up is just kind of a detriment at times. You want a more consistent contested health recovery. That's my personal experience from just playing him in true solo and on increased spawns. Maybe you disagree. That's okay. Point is, Acuity works really well with the Bolt Carbine, and this perk I think really just puts Bolt Carbine ahead of all the other weapons. Now, number 2, we have Skilled Supplier. Ammo Reserve increases by 10%. This is pretty mediocre on Tactical. Honestly, it's pretty bad because Emperor's Vengeance, killing a Majoris level or higher enemy, restores your primary weapon's ammo by 1 magazine. Cannot exceed maximum ammo capacity, cooldown is 30 seconds. This just says you pretty much have infinite ammo in your primary for the most part, so you really don't need the Skilled Supplier, but if you want to take the other like steady aim or final shot, though final shot is just like such a bad perk. This should be a weapon perk. Like the Vanguard has ones like this, but I digress. Point is, skilled supplier could be used there. Now, number 3, we have Second Look. If no enemy has been scanned by the time the Auspex scan zone disappears, Auspex scans charge is restored. This perk is terrible. You're pretty much never going to take this. Like, you know, if you're missing your Auspex scan, it's just a big uh-oh moment, and like most of the time when you're Auspexing, like you really have to fuck up to miss your Auspex scan, like straight up, and like miss all the enemies, even the Majoris enemies, because like normally they don't move that much. So this is just a pretty bad perk. Like, maybe if you're like the worst aimer ever, but like I really don't even think like most people are gonna be doing this, except it's like maybe a boss. Maybe a boss they do it on, like the Hive Tyrant jumps out of the way. But number 4, we have Spare Power. Collecting an ammo box restores ability charge by 10%. These kind of perks, like collect X thing and get like ability charge, restored to you. This is just terrible. These perks are terrible. I don't know why they're putting this in the game, to be honest. It's just a stupid effect. You know, like it's pretty self-explanatory. Resilience, Medicae Stims restore 25% more health. This is pretty good on Tactical, actually, because Tactical doesn't have anything to boost his health in his tree. He's pretty much, like you said, the base, and normally he doesn't really matter all that much, but he is pretty strong to the point that having 25% more health, you know, that could save you sometimes. But Steel Within, I think, is a bit better, because number 6 here, we have when your health is less than 50%, you take 15% less health damage. That is a good perk. That's a very good perk. I would always take this. And pretty much anything that says, like, oh, you have less health damage while your health is low is a good perk in this game, because you already get damage reduction when your health is low. So let's just make that better. And then last, we have when your health is less than 25%, ability charge regenerates 15% faster. This is terrible. I would just never take this. There's no point to do this. You don't really want to be at 25% health anyways on this class, and like it's not going to be spamming out your Auspex scan anyways. So that's what I would say for the prestige perks. These ones could definitely use some reworks. Like I would rework this one, and maybe buff this one to like 20%, because like really is 10% like that good when you just have Emperor's Vengeance? I know they said in the recent like dev blog that they don't want to make the prestige perks like this super game-changing thing, but some of them kind of are that, especially on like Bulwark anyways. Like, okay, they're not game-changing, then why is this like fucking 20% range damage, like 20% charge attack damage? I digress. Point is, they could definitely do more with some of these perks. But I want to go into why the Tactical is the best class in the game now. So really the main reason for this is battle focus. A perfectly timed parry or block, it gives the parried enemy a mark from Auspex scan. This is such a good perk. This is probably the best perk in the entire game, to be honest, and I don't really see anything approaching it except for like maybe Invigorating Icon or like Pattern of Excellence. But this is getting reworked, and Pattern of Excellence requires you to get like a Melt-A-Bomb to be at full efficiency, while Battle Focus just says any enemy that is foolish enough to attack you is going to die in like one block string. So that's why Battle Focus is so good. This just turns this guy into like the Angel of Death. This guy can single-handedly stop Lictor Broods that would bring a world to its knees. He is just OP. with the battle focus. Like, you pretty much always take this. This is so good. You skip his equipment recharge. Like, these other two perks don't exist. Honestly, any tree that the battle focus goes into, you could swap out all of these. You could swap it for, like, you know, the placement of this perk with any of these trees, and it would always be the one you take because it's just OP. And it also works with all of your other Auspex bonuses like Concentrated Fire and priority targeting. Really, the tactical is so strong that you could remove his class ability of like his standard Auspex scan, get rid of his entire core perk tree and his team perk tree and his signature tree, and just leave the gear tree, and he would still be like a number 2 character. He is just that good. Now, on the note of battle focus, I just want to say that a lot of people ask me, why do I take the Artificer Chainsword for the block? It's because this character does so much goddamn damage that when you're using the Artificer Chainsword and you block an enemy with your battle focus, you're going to be able to like 2 block, like, you know, you get like the 2 block charges off and then blast them with like a bash. You're going to one-shot any extremis in the game pretty much. It doesn't really matter if using the block one, so you can just take the extra speed. And also there's some perks in the Chainsword tree like momentum gain. Each consecutive light attack increases light attack melee damage by 3%, up to 30% for 3 seconds, and that's just easier to get with the increased speed. Speed is everything, and also for this class, swift recovery is really good, and the faster you're able to get off your heavies, you're going to get your contested health back more. So that's why I take the block one. Now, as for sidearms, they did add in the heavy bolt pistol and the plasma pistol to this class. This class really didn't need this at all because he really doesn't ever need to use his sidearm for the most part because his primaries are so damn good. Because another thing about the tactical class is that his range damage is absurd. He has so many good range perks, or I should say, you know, he has the balanced distribution, which is really good. Your primary weapon deals 10% more damage, but your secondary weapon deals 10% less damage. Who gives a shit? You're going to be shooting your main firearm most of the time because you can, because you have Emperor's Vengeance, because you're OP. And aligned aim range damage increases by 15% for all squad members. This is the one you pretty much always take because transhuman physiology, all squad members restore 30% more contested health from range damage. Doesn't really matter. You don't really need the contested health recovery when you have more damage and you just get more HP back anyways, because like usually it's percentage based on like how much contested health recovery you get, like based on how much damage you're doing. Actually, that might not be true. Don't quote me on that, but the point is you do enough damage with aligned aim that it doesn't really matter. And now the next thing I want to talk about would be these signature perks. These are like the only perks I would rework here, like Signal Jammer. They tried to rework this perk. Enemies marked by Auspex scan cannot call for reinforcements and automatically explode upon attempting to do so. This perk is really bad. You just never take this perk. I know like this perk used to be even worse. It didn't make them explode, but like who the fuck's shooting an Auspex scan at like a reinforcing enemy when they can just you know, shoot their big fucking gun, or I guess in this case your tiny gun, or like your plasma launcher. And this guy has like so many guns to shoot enemies with that this is just pretty trash. Now, Radiating Impact is something I have swapped over to more recently. A melee finisher additionally deals significant area of effect damage in a 10-meter radius. Cooldown is 90 seconds. This perk is like deceptively good. You do waste it quite a bit, but when it goes off in like the right scenario, you can kill like 6 Majoris guys or even some Extremis at times. This will bail you out of a lot of situations. It's just a really good perk. I used to take Marked for Death. A headshot will instantly kill Majoris or Extremis level enemies marked by Auspex scan. Cooldown is 120 seconds. This one is a very good perk as well. This will usually help you against like Zoanthrope, so he doesn't really need it now with like how strong Bolt Carbine is at the moment, because you just blast them anyways. But you can definitely take this. I haven't been taking it mainly because I've been playing increased spawns, and you know, like what is one Extremis or Majoris when there's like 6 of them spawning on you? So I'd rather just have like the Radiating Impact to like deal damage to all of them. That's my thought process there. Now, the other perk I would say needs to be buffed would be Communion of Fire. Recoil is reduced by 25%, and range damage against Extremis level enemies is increased by 10% for all squad members. This perk is just pretty bad. Like, there's no reason you would take this over these two. Well, you might take this over Transhuman Physiology, but even then, this is just not a very good perk. Like, you're just going to take a blind aim. It's an unfortunate part of this game, but there are a lot of perks. They're just like, okay, this is like the only choice I'm going to take. But you could make the argument for this one, I guess, in this tree. But still, aligned aim, just pretty damn good. Stacking range damage on this character is very good, like steady aim. Weapon spread and recoil are reduced by 20%, and range damage against Terminus level enemies is increased by 10%. I don't know if I would use this on the Bolt Carbine. I would take this on things like Heavy Bolter at times, just because the Heavy Bolter can benefit from that extra spread reduction if you take like an ammo variant. But for the most part, you know, you're kind of just doing it for fun because Emperor's Vengeance is just so good that you're pretty much always going to take this if you're like min-maxing. Like, if you ask me what was the best build for Tactical currently, this would be the setup right now with the perks we have here. Like, you take Acuity, and we'll go through right now. Take Acuity, take Seal Within, take Spare Power, and then take Resilience. And that's pretty much all you ever need. That's the setup here, because, you know, Medicae Stims, these can help you out a bit. But the main thing here is you want the 10% more damage for your Bolt Carbine. Where's our Bolt Carbine? And then just build it like this. Go for headshot damage primarily, and just more damage. Damage, stack headshot multipliers, shoot guy in face, and then take your heightened vigor after a perfectly timed parry or dodge. You deal 10% more melee and gun strike damage. Do not lose control upon taking heavy hits. It cannot be knocked back for 10 seconds. This is like the best perk in this tree as well, mainly because, you know, this just says, okay, when like 3 lictors are jumping me and I'm all by myself, I'm gonna fucking like parry them and just kill every single one of them with my block and my Auspex parry. So, and I never get stunned. And, you know, you get more melee damage, because that's really what this class needed. You could also take Relentless Pursuit after a gun strike. Range damage increases by 25% for 5 seconds. That's not a bad perk per se. It's just not as good as this. But, like, you know, it's one of those choices where, like on another class, this would be a really, really, really good perk. Unfortunately, Heightened Vigor is just so damn good that you don't take it. And then the next thing I would take is just the Emperor's Vengeance, and then Aligned Aim for more range damage, and then Priority Targeting, because the mark from Auspex Scan lasts 8 seconds longer, base 8, but Auspex Scan ignores Minoros level enemies. You don't give a fuck about Minoros enemies on this class, because you just body them with your super OP Blockchain Sword. So, like, this is pretty much like, this is just a straight buff to your Auspex Scan. And then you just take Battle Focus, because, like we said, best perk in the game. And then we take Concentrated Fire. Auspex Scan lasts 60% longer, and enemies marked by Auspex Scan take an additional 120% damage, but they lose the mark when they leave the scanned area. Some people might have some trouble with, like, them leaving the marked area. For the most part, this really doesn't matter, because your actual Auspex Scan doesn't matter all that much when you have Battle Focus, because this will apply so many more Auspex Scans throughout your game than the actual class ability ever will. And then the next thing you would have here is, you know, like, when Auspex Scans in cooldown, melee damage increases by 25%. Like, if you really want to, I guess you could take this, but this is just more damage on Auspex targets, and that's really all you ever want in this game, because this just lets you shred bosses. This is also an option. Enemies marked by Auspex Scan take an additional 75% damage, but the mark duration is reduced by 4 seconds. Base is 8. I just don't take this anymore, because I just want Auspex as long as possible from Battle Focus. I just don't care that much about the actual perk here. And as a note that I didn't mention earlier, the starting perk for this class is any unequipped ranged weapon reloads automatically after 10 seconds, and that is another reason why the Bolt Carbine is so damn good. So that's what I would take here, and then for the last thing, I would take Radiating Impact for the same reasons I mentioned before. You could also swap it over to Marked for Death. Like, these are both good choices, but I would say, like, this general setup is the best setup for tactical currently with these prestige perks and the Bolt Carbine plus Heavy Bolt Pistol or Plasma. These are pretty interchangeable because it's not that big of a deal. And then you just take the Blockchain Sword and build it like this for Tyranids. And if you're fighting, or, you know, at this point you build it for Chaos and Tyranids, you just have to change it a bit. You used to have to change it up a bit, but you could take this for both Tyranids and Chaos now. But yeah, I think this is the best build for this guy currently. You know, Heavy Bolt Pistols, what I build this as. Like, it's really not that important what your sidearm is, but, you know, I'll show you anyways. And that's the best build for this guy at the moment. That's just my opinion. I mean, you know, it's pretty simple. Tactical is pretty Timothy. I don't think this is like a really hot take to say that this class is just kind of broken at the moment. I'll probably talk about the actual class rankings in this game at some point. But for now, that's all I have to say on this one. If you like content like this, subscribe for more. If you agree with me, maybe you disagree with me. Either way, let me know in the comments below. And take it easy, guys. Peace.